It is the 10 o'clock hour. It is Tuesday, April 26, 2022. The Board of Supervisors of the County of Del Norte and the governing body of all other special assessment and taxing districts for which said board so acts is now meeting in regular session. Only those items that indicate a specific time will be heard at the assigned time. All other items may be taken out of sequence to accommodate the public and staff availability. So we're going to call this meeting to order, and Kylie, would you please take roll?
Supervisor Howard?
Present.
Supervisor Starkey? Here. Supervisor Short?
Here.
Supervisor Maston? Here. Chair Hemmingson?
Here. We're going to now take a moment of reflection. Thank you. Now, if you'll all stand, please, Supervisor Maston will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Introduction of new employees. Neil?
None today, Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, you might want to turn your mic up just a little bit. You're a little quiet.
Sorry about that. Pull it a little closer, maybe. County Council, any actions from closed session?
Not today, Chair.
Thank you. At this time, I would request any corrections, additions, deletions from board members. In order to add an item to the agenda, the matter must have come to the attention of the county subsequent to the posting of the agenda, and the matter requires action before the next regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors. Are there any items? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to brief reports or announcements relative to county programs, projects, progress, and 2x2 committees and goal committees. And we're going to start with Supervisor Maston.
Okay, so I did attend the Klamath River cleanup on 4/16. I had my first town hall meeting on the 18th in the Birch Track area and have plans for 3 more. May 3rd at Margaret Keating in Klamath, May 5th at Crescent City Elk Middle School, and May 7th a virtual town hall. So I also attended my first Del Norte solid waste management meeting, and also in their report, there were several other cleanups that occurred in Gasky, and then by the College of the Redwoods Community Garden, which I did stop in for a brief moment. A lot of volunteers though, and it was really exciting to see for the cleanup events, the turnout that came out and the pride of everyone that participated in those cleanups. And they did a lot of good work in a short time frame. So those are very valuable. There was a safety issue that occurred at the site, and a truck had, one of the vehicles had hit another vehicle. So the dump truck or the garbage truck had come up to the dock, and there just was an incident. So the good part of that is that they realized that they need to develop a plan that would provide for safety in the future. And so they're going to have, when the dump trucks approach, that they're allowed to go in without other vehicles at the docking station, because it could have been serious had, it's difficult to see, it could have been a serious incident of concern. So it was good to see that they had moved quickly on it and are developing a plan and looking for other alternatives in the meantime if that doesn't flow correctly. So I also attended my first Redwood Coast Transit Authority meeting, which was a good one to be at, because they took a review of the past couple of years and the impacts of COVID and how they had to reduce a lot of the transit that was available. And they're looking at in September the summer, trying to add those routes that were deleted because of COVID. They're trying to move them in. The difficulty they're going to have, though, is that they only have 6 of their former 14 employees. So being able to do that is really contingent on them being able to attract new drivers back. So they have a training coming up, and they have 4 people signed up, and they're optimistic, but they had a recent training and they had 4 people show up, and they fell through. And so they didn't pick up anyone from that training. So if you know anyone who needs a job, to be a transit bus driver would be a good idea to let them know the jobs are available. It was good to see, despite of COVID and the reduction of people using the transit system, we still did okay, and that we're in a good shape because of the COVID dollars that came in, and also from our local taxes as well. So other than that, we're looking at a alternative site to the cultural site where the buses stop, to another location on Front Street that would provide for better access and maybe restroom access, and a office for the center, for the hub there. So that's exciting in itself, that, you know, it also enhances what's available down, the improvements on Front Street, but enhances what's available to people for the transit. Took a tour of the CHP office, and I took a tour of the sheriff's office and the jail facility. And those were 2 extreme opposites for what's available for the officers. And I'm hopeful that in the future that the sheriff's office will be able to have similar accommodations. I think that that's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Supervisor Starkey.
Hi, I am really going to make it brief because I get teased a lot for not being brief. But I met with True North. We discussed mental health issues in the community, as well as some of the homeless issues and how they want to partner with the county to come up with some solutions that might include tiny homes, urban campsites, or some low-income housing. So we do appreciate the partnership with True North. I attended a visitor bureau meeting. 5 out of 7 of our pitches were featured in Visit California. That just highlights our area and attracts individuals to come and visit us. I continued my ad hoc for the exclusive operating agreement for Del Norte Ambulance. And I'm really getting valuable information, not only about the concerns, but about the praises about how the ambulance is doing in our community. And what we need to remember is that we all just want the best for our community. And so that's what we're looking at to make sure that occurs. I attended the legislative conference in Sacramento, and I've got to tell you, I am super fired up and pumped, and I am ready to work even harder. We were able to hear from the governor, that's Gavin Newsom, the attorney general, which is Rob Bonta, the Secretary of State, which was Dr. Shirley Weber, and the Senate President Pro Tem, which Tony Atkins. And so it was just really nice to be able to have that direct contact with these individuals who are making the decisions that affect all of us in this rural area. I attended a session about CalAIM, which is really to streamline the way Medi-Cal is done. There's been so many glitches in the Medi-Cal system throughout the year. So CalAIM is looking to correct that. My favorite was the Administration of Justice Policy Committee, where we talked about the incompetent to stand trial, those offenders who are housed in the jail and need to go to a state facility to be restored to competency. The wait list for that in the last 7 years has gone from a 426 number to well over 1,400 numbers now. That's just the wait list to get into the Napa State Hospital or Atascadero to be seen and restored to competency. The trends are showing that the majority of the ISTs, the incompetent to stand trials, are unhoused and unsheltered population. And that 47% of those had not had mental health services in the prior 6 months before being arrested and declared incompetent. So we really need to get upstream on this. We need to start making sure that we're providing those behavioral health and those mental health services in our community before they get to the point that they commit a crime, get put in jail, and then are declared incompetent. And I could go on and on about that. If you have any questions about it, please contact me, because I did promise to make this brief. I attended a Government Finance and Administration Policy Committee meeting where we discussed the broadband investments and how the state is going to be spending their soaring surplus. And I've got my hooks into some of it. I'm hoping that I can get some results here for Del Norte County. I attended the Health and Human Services Conference meeting and where we discussed the master plan on aging, where I did advocate specifically for Del Norte County to get those funds directly to us. Currently, we are in region area 1, where we share those services with Humboldt County. And I feel oftentimes that we are even neglected in that small little realm. So I'm working to make sure that those dollars get directly to us from the state. So I'm really fired up, and I hope you can hear that in my voice, but we have a lot of work to do and we have a lot of ideas. There's so much more that I could go on and on about. I attended a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and then yesterday I met with department staff to discuss some ideas with encampment cleanups. And so we just had the whole team there. We had code enforcement, the district attorney, the sheriff's department, behavioral health, county council, CAO, tax collector, building maintenance, and as well as Supervisor Short. And just to kind of take a look at how is this community, what do we want to be known for? How do we want to respond to encampment cleanups? And how then, if we do clean up an encampment, how are we going to keep it clean and not just push people down the road into another area? So it's a big project, it's a big undertaking, but I think it's something certainly that we need to start again and have these open discussions. So my next step is going to start examining some of the ideas that born from this meeting yesterday, but also perhaps to have a town hall to where we can all come together as a community to decide what do we want that to look like. And Supervisor Short has indicated he'd be willing to do that with me. He didn't indicate it. I'm just volunteering him right now. After that meeting, we did take a tour of the Ruth compound, which some of you know was cleaned up several years ago at the tune of $500,000. That compound is back. It is it looks bad to me. I didn't know what it looked like back years ago. But there's also the South Bend encampment that we went in, and Supervisor Short and I, it was just a quick story, is that we're driving through there and an individual that's homeless comes out and is talking to us, and he's saying, the thing is the board of supervisors, they just see pictures. They never see how it is. They never see the people here. And Supervisor Short and I were able to tell them that actually we are the board of supervisors, and we are there and we are listening, and we need them to be part of the solution. So that is my report.
Thank you. Vice Chair Short.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since our last meeting, I attended the North Coast EMS Medical Advisory Committee meeting. The next day, I attended the North Coast EMS JPA meeting as well. Had a discussion with hospital personnel in regard to Del Norte
Supervisor
Ambulance.
Short, can you turn up your mic, please?
I will turn up my mic.
Thank you.
I don't usually get people telling me to talk louder. Sorry. Anyway, as Supervisor Starkey indicated, we're still working on the exclusive operating area request from Del Norte Ambulance. That's an ongoing project. I met with Pelican Bay State Prison's Citizens Advisory Committee. The prison staff there report that they're, as we see all across the state, COVID regulations are easing up a bit, so they're starting to get programs running again. Happy to get their dog program going again. That was good news. They also wanted to let us know that they have 90 CO vacancies and multiple vacancies in other areas of the prison. So if anybody's needing a job out there, definitely look into that. On May 21st, along those same lines, on May 21st at the, I believe it's the Arts and Crafts building at the fairgrounds, there is going to be a recruitment event for correctional officers, and you will be able to apply and test all on the same day. No travel into Reading or Sacramento or any other of those difficult trips to do your testing. So if anybody's interested in becoming a correctional officer, that is a great way to start the process. May 21st from, I believe, 9 to 3. That starts at 9 anyway, something like that. Met with the director of Del Norte Solid Waste, as Supervisor Maston mentioned. There was an incident out at the transfer station. So there's some new operating procedures that were put in place there. So met with him to talk about those. Also in that regard, corresponded with Joel Wallen at Hambro WSG, just as, just to see how we can make the functionality at the transfer station work for both the big commercial trucks and those self-haulers that bring in their garbage. Met with a warden at Pelican Bay outside of the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, just asking him about how Pelican Bay is going, what his vision is, and possibly some partnerships that the state and the county can enter into. Listened in on the city council meeting, attended the agenda review. I received a few letters from some middle school children in the county, voicing their concerns. There was a kid that wanted improvements to the skate park. Other had concerns about loud vehicles, saying he could, sometimes he couldn't sleep very well. Those kind of things. It was great to get those letters from them, and so I worked on my responses to those, and I appreciate Kylie helping me out with proofing those and getting those out. As Supervisor Maston said, we attended the RCTA meeting, and again with Supervisor Starkey, attended her brainstorming session and went on the tour. And that is all I have, sir.
Thank you. Supervisor Howard.
Thank you, Chair Hemmingson. So yeah, busy couple of weeks since our last board meeting. A lot of constituent emails and conversations specific to issues within District 3 and then also countywide. I won't go into much detail on those, but what I will say is I am working closely with Ted Ward and Julia Peterson with Clean California to try to get a day for free dumping essentially in Smith River. We've done several cleanups in both Klamath and in Gasky, but we really would need one in Smith River, and we're looking to do it here in the next couple months, hoping to get it scheduled here quite soon. Spent some time with Joe Tyler. He's the governor's new appointment he's the director of California Fire for the state of California. Joe is stepping into a big job. He's been around for about 32 years. He's a career bureaucrat per se. He's been in the job for quite a long time, has really specialized in suppression, not necessarily those fires that we want to go in and proactively treat. So fuels reduction, which is essentially going out and clearing fuels off our landscape so we don't have the threat of fire. But in my position with the California State Association of Counties, I'm the current chair of their Agriculture, Environment, and Natural Resources Committee, which means I get to lead the conversation, set the agenda throughout the state of California for the 58 counties on what issues are important. And most of those issues wind up for issues important to Northern California and more importantly, rural California, meaning Del Norte County. So we're really pushing very strongly on issues associated with fire and fuels reduction, and also suppression absolutely when it's needed, and ensure that the state has the staffing availability to get out there and get the fires put out before they happen. And the before they happen part is this fuels piece. Now, the governor's committed a lot of money, but there's no bodies in the state of California to put this on the ground and implement it. And that's our biggest problems right now. There's literally no capacity. So Joe Tyler, that was part of our discussions. How are you going to build that capacity in the state of California? And really what it comes down to is raising the rates to attract the people here, raising their salaries. That's how we're going to have to do this, folks. To really get on top of it for the state is find out how to bring the money to the business to really go out and not only treat the fire, but also reduce the fuels out here in our force. So we're really working closely on that and finding those partnerships, especially like our Smith River Collaborative that Supervisor Hemmingson stems on, where we find the federal dollars and partner with tribal governments on the administrative side and with the businesses that they've created to reduce fuels in our force. A big deal for District 3 and also District 5 in Klamath. Working very closely with Senator McGuire and really trying to figure out how we're going to deal with some of the mental health issues that are coming down the state pipe. This is a very complex issue for us throughout the state of California. Del Norte County is not alone, but some of these mental health issues really spill over into our homeless population. So how do we treat this over time? The state and county governments for a long time have deflected. We haven't addressed it. We haven't stood up, took charge of it, and rolled forward with it. And that's got to change if we're going to actually make an impact here in our community and how certain things take place. And the governor, who we heard from on Wednesday last week, is ready to do that. He's ready to do it with a lot of money, and that's all he wants to talk about right now. It's like fire never existed, and it's like drought never existed, but mental health issues for him exist. And so this is where he wants to concentrate efforts on housing and mental health issues. And we're certainly going to take advantage of it to bring money here to Del Norte County so we can deal with it here in our own community. Working really closely with the insurance commissioner, his department, because right now in District 3 and in District 5, we've got issues with insurance premiums sky high. What's that mean to you? That means you're paying a lot more for your annual insurance on your home. Sometimes 400%, and most of our community members are getting canceled. That's just not right. And they're not having a very good time finding another carrier to provide that insurance. The insurance commissioner is going to have a conversation, town hall style. It'll be by Zoom, so folks can attend. But we're going to have that here on Thursday, and we hope to continue the conversation to affect legislation that'll allow changes potentially in Prop 103 that prevents us from moving forward with good policies that allow you good people to get insurance where you currently live. So there's a lot of caveats, there's a lot of complexity to it, but hopefully we'll find a way forward and be able to lobby our legislature as your board of supervisors to get there. As Supervisor Hemmingson Hemmingson and Starkey mentioned, attended the CSAC conference where a lot of these discussions had occurred. One very interesting discussion was with our LAO's office, the Legislative Analyst Office, and in addition, Tony Atkins' office. He has a staffer that's completely in charge of the budget for the legislature. There's more money in the state's budget this year that has come down than there ever has been in the state's history. And just last week, they received through close to $7.9 billion. And this is a surplus that might be in the neighborhood of $45 to $50 million by the time it's done. And there's a lot of back and forth between the governor's office. There's a lot of back and forth between the legislature on how this money is going to be spent. But there's various propositions that have been put in place, Prop 2, Prop 98, that were directed by the people through voting actions on where that money goes. A lot of it goes to schools. A lot of it goes back into the government reserve coffers. But what doesn't go back is a percentage that could potentially move towards capital improvement projects. It could potentially move back to subvention funds. So how those subvention funds are really what gets returned to the counties. Those are the monies that we need to concentrate on. And both Supervisor Hemmingson and I have been advocating almost for the last 8 years. How do we get money back for our payment in lieu of taxes on our public lands? Those state lands that we have around us, like the Lake Rural Wildlife Area, that have been not funded with these payments in lieu of taxes now for over a decade. And so this is an opportune time to get some of those monies back into the budget and get Del Norte paid for those back taxes. So we're still working on that and trying to get that in there. And that's what I hit their legislative director with, is get that money flowing back to Del Norte. Attended the Elk Valley Rancheria grand opening. Congratulations to them. They continue to be an incredible community partner for us. In addition, dealing with code enforcement on some issues off the end of Parkway on Prince Street. Glad to see finally we get all the ducks in a row to get that raid taking place and get a real toxic site begun to be cleaned up. And that's the end of my report, Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Howard. Well, most of my time, I did take a week off with family, or almost a week, 4 or 5 days with family over spring break, but I did attend the CSAC Legislative Conference, as was mentioned by Supervisor Starkey and Supervisor Howard. Of course, the keynote speaker at our opening session was Governor Newsom. He has some good ideas, I think, and hopefully we can follow through with some of those. I attended several workshops and policy committee meetings. As Supervisor Starkey said, CalAIM was a really good one. I thought, for the counties, there's going to be a lot of potential opportunities to address the costs associated with the state's projects. So anyway, they're going to try to streamline that Medi-Cal program, and hopefully we are beneficiaries of that. During the CSAC luncheon, Rob Bonta, as was mentioned, Attorney General had a less than inspiring speech to give us. I am a Coastal Counties co-chair, so we continue to discuss at that policy meeting, we continue to discuss sea level rise and resources available in those arenas, as well as money for updating LCPs, which I'm not sure that we're interested in, but we have an opportunity to look at that. I did also attend the Housing, Land Use, and Transportation Policy Committee meeting dealing with fair housing, mortgage relief. A lot of time was spent on that, and next steps for autonomous vehicles. Also attended the Rural Caucus, where we get to sit around and all discuss the same issues that we have in our rural counties. And then I also went to the AENR meeting, as Supervisor Howard said, where he's the chair, does an absolutely outstanding job for our rural counties addressing prescribed fire. Also got to hear from at that meeting Assistant Deputy Director Chris Anthony and Fire Advisor from University of California Cooperative Extension, Lenya Quinn Davidson. Both extremely intelligent people, and dealing with this prescribed burn thing, I think is really going to help us in the long run. I did get an opportunity to meet with Senator McGuire. As was discussed, had some talks about mental health issues, our county issues, including the jail. I also dealt with numerous constituent issues, and I'd like to thank Vice Chair Short for sitting in for me for agenda review, and that is my brief report. So we're going to move on to our 10:25 timed item, which is public comment. Members of the public may address the board on matters which are within the jurisdiction of the board. If you are addressing the board regarding a matter listed on the agenda, you may be asked to hold your comments until the board takes up that matter, and your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Is there any public comment? This is public comment. This is just public comment.
Linda Sutter County. How do we treat mental health issues here at the Del Norte County Jail? Under Lieutenant Schneck authority, a Hispanic inmate by the name of Gabriel Gomez, who is mentally ill, was forced away in a squalor of feces, piss, and garbage with a ripped up mattress for a period of 10 to 15 days. Correctional officers failed their duty to act. The sergeants turned a blind eye, and the lieutenants who are running the sheriff's office just didn't care. These are pictures of one cell. We have no idea what the rest of cells look like. Does tuberculosis, hepatitis, or MRSA mean anything to you, staff, or other inmates? You folks have known about this incident since the beginning of April. No investigation was conducted on this matter. Instead, you're going to give Lieutenant Schneck a raise. Why? Mr. Schneck should be demoted with a 10% cut in his pay for the next 18 months. Schneck demonstrated a complete deliberate indifference, cruel and unusual punishment due to confinement conditions, and a violation of the 8th and 14th Amendments, not to mention discriminatory against the mentally ill and his race. This is criminal. When public members called the respective supervisors about this information, circulating throughout the community. Every one of you hid the matter from the public and swept it under the rug. Let me remind you, you took an oath to uphold the laws of the state of California and the United States Constitution. You have failed that oath. The state needs to take over the jail. You as supervisors have demonstrated how corrupt you are for condoning these acts and hiding them from the public. Like I said 2 weeks ago, there's no leadership, no vision, no integrity, and I don't hear any of you laughing at those words today. Just so you know, this storm is just beginning and it's not over yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good morning.
Morning.
I want to introduce myself. My name is Phillip Williams. I'm a council member for the Yurok tribe. I was born here in Del Norte County. I went to schools here. I served the military. Can you hear me?
Speak into the mic.
Can you hear me? Okay, there we go. You know, I served in the military. From here, I represented us. I've done a lot of community work here. What I wanted to do is introduce myself. I was elected in 2020 during the pandemic. And I love this community. It's been my lifelong ambition to work the Del Norte community and the Yurok tribe together. This has been long overdue. We're all in a great position right now. And I just wanted to highlight, bring opportunities that we can work together. We have the same issues. We have mental health issues. We have environmental issues. We have so many of the same problems. I think we should start working together and pool our resources together. The Yurok tribe, we've tripled our annual budget. We've brought $30 million in here into Del Norte County to serve all people of Del Norte County, not just the tribe. And so I just wanted to open that up so that we can start improving Del Norte County as a whole, as a community. I think we can accomplish many more things together than we can apart. You know, I've always had to live a dual life. Yurok tribe and a member of Del Norte County. And as elected official, I want to make these things work together so that we're not fighting against one another. You know, I work on a lot of the same issues you guys have that you spoke about today. You know, I'm in government with the state of California, all these other agencies, everything you talk about, we're doing the same work, especially mental health. I see an opening for both of us to work together for the mental health, that somehow we need to come together because we have a big voice. You guys have a big voice for the people that are hurting the most, the homeless, the heartbroken. I no longer look at the homeless people as a scourge. I myself looked at them at one time and thought, man, that would be nice because of the hardships of my life. I lost a child here in Del Norte County. And so I know what it hurts. I know what it feels like. And so when I see those people, I know they're just heartbroken. And we as a community need to somehow come together and show them love. And I'm not talking about love as physical. I'm talking about that we care about them, that they matter to us. And so I'll just end, and you guys have my email address. I would love to work on opportunities together so that we can improve our community. Thank you.
Great, Philip. Thank you. I couldn't agree with you more. Any other public comment?
There. Thank you, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. I'm Brandon Bieber, a Smith River resident. Yeah, what that gentleman just referred to as coming together as a community and helping is a good start. What happened to fellowship and, you know, our churches and neighbors doing that, you know, why is government now doing it? But let me start by expressing my appreciation for your willingness to serve and hold public office. I'm sure the last couple of years have been difficult to govern. Despite the difficult circumstances, me and my family will never forget the constitutional and civil liberty infringements this board implemented. Your coercion to throw personal freedoms out the window to benefit big pharma or a health director is un-American. It's disappointing. You can say a requirement, but when you threaten to throw us in jail, really? Poor. You should be held accountable. I request 2 agenda items be added to the Board of Supervisors meeting for next agenda. One, I think we should have a COVID discussion. Did it just go away? What happened to that? Doesn't deserve an agenda item anymore? Agenda item, possible action to fire Dr. Stutz. An analysis of the county's handling of COVID and its pandemic. What it did well, what it did poorly. Needs to be a discussion on why the county COVID propaganda hub continues to display inaccurate terminology and data. Why the county was developing active cases based on who a person worked for. Really? The virus knew who you worked for? You inflated numbers. Most of the data on the hub is inaccurate. Second agenda item I'd like added. I think there needs to be an inquiry into the PPP loans given to local businesses. If you look at the report, there's a lot of inconsistencies. A lot of businesses are claiming aliases. A lot of companies have inflated employment numbers. There's a business with the same address, but claiming 5 businesses with over $15 million in PPP loans.
Thank you.
There needs to be an investigation.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'd like to remind you that there is such thing as a conflict of interest.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay. I'm going to close the public comment period and we are going to move on to our 10:30 timed item, which is a county medical services program overview.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Carrie Brownstein. Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I am the executive director at the County Medical Services Program Governing Board. And I am joined today with by Laura Moyer, our grants administrator here at County Medical Services Program. We have been one of your we've been in your counties for several years. I'm going to go, let's go to the next slide, Laura. I want to give you all a little bit, you might be newer supervisors or joined since from after 2014 when ACA happened, and you might not be familiar with CMSP. So what I'm trying to do is get out to the Board of Supervisors of my counties and just give you a little information, just a quick presentation on CMSP and what we do in your counties. So I'm going to do a little background, talk about our counties, our board members, our benefit programs, grant programs, a little bit of our financing, and some CMSP resources. And at the end, we'll have time for questions, but I can see you all there. So if you kind of raise your hand or something, I can see that you want to ask me a question, or feel free to interrupt me at any time. Next slide, please. All right, let's do a little CMSP background. Next slide. So in 1982, long time ago, California law eliminated Medi-Cal eligibility for the medically indigent adults, and that population became the county responsibility under WIC section 17,000. So that happened in 82. In 83, CMSP was created, and it's a pooled risk health benefit program Eligible counties have populations of, at that time, a base year of 1980 of 300,000 or less. And 35, we had at that time, 34 participating counties. YOLO joined us in 7/1/12, and we currently have 35 participating counties. In 1995, this board was established by law. It's charged with overall policy and fiscal responsibility for CMSP. We have 10 county officials on our board and 1 ex officio non-voting state representative. We're administered through a office in Sacramento with staff. We also have contracts with Advanced Medical Management. They're out of Southern California for medical and dental benefit administration. MedImpact is our pharmacy benefit administration. We have a partnership with California DHCS because we have eligibility files. And then other consultants and contractors provide various services. Let's go to the next slide. I'm going to show you a map of our CMSP counties. Next slide. There you can see the CMSP 35 counties, mostly northern, a little eastern, and then we have Imperial in the south. So up there in Del Norte, you know, you're covered with, you have lots of CMSP counties up there. Next slide. All right, who are our governing board members? Next slide. So these, we have 3 supervisors, 3 CAOs, and we have 4 members that are either a health or welfare director. So our board consists of Brad Wagenknecht, he's our chair of Napa County, Richard Forrester, Amador County, Oscar Villegas, Yolo County. Then we have up in Lassen County, Richard Egan, our CAO. Alicia Hayes is our newer to our board, and she's in Humboldt County. Matthew Heimel, Marin County. And then we have Elizabeth Kelly in Colusa, Deborah Martinez in Madera, Jennifer Vasquez in Yuba, and Christine Zappi and Glenn. And then Kimberly Chen is our ex officio governing board member. Next slide. All right, we also have committees. We have an executive committee. That committee is members of our board that may get together in between board meetings if something comes up and needs to be studied further. Planning and Benefits Committee. This is going to be a big committee this year because we're going to be doing some strategic planning, and we currently have an opening on that committee. It's made up of county representatives and also our provider beneficiary advocates, and then we have eligibility committee. Next slide. Okay, let me talk to you a little bit about our benefit programs. Next slide. So we have 3 healthcare benefit programs. We have our standard CMSP, and if you've been around for a long time, that's the benefit you may hear of, and that's where in your county social services department, if somebody does not qualify for Medi-Cal, they may get CMSP coverage. 21 to 64 is the age limit. The federal poverty level is 139 to 300% of federal poverty level. And then this chart also talks about what kind of coverages each of these programs get. Path to Health is a little bit different. People on Path to Health only have emergency services Medi-Cal, and it's just a primary care benefit, and people get enrolled at participating health centers. Connected Care is just primary care benefit as well. It's just primary care, so it's not, you're not going into the emergency room on that one, and don't have inpatient care, but you're able to see your doctors, get vaccines, get some lab work, get some x-rays if you need, those kinds of things. And again, people that get on Connected Care do it through our participating health centers. Next slide. So this is just a slide that talks a little bit more in detail about CMSP eligibility, resident of a CMSP county. People get onto CMSP through their social services departments in our counties, what the federal poverty level rate is, not eligible for Medi-Cal, can't be eligible for Medi-Cal, and its enrollment term up to 6 months. Here we a little bit more detail about benefits, full scope benefits, no cost primary care, and prescription drugs with a $5 copay. So one of your CMSP contract providers within your county is Open Door Community Health Centers. And our enrollment in CMSP is around 700 members now throughout our 35 counties. Now, I just want to highlight pre-ACA, ACA is the Affordable Care Act. That was 1114 when that happened. We were around 90,000 members in CMSP. So again, if you were around, if you were on the board or before 1114, you would have known a lot about CMSP, but now we're a lot smaller program for CMSP. So next slide. So what the board did was get together, and so we're a safety net program, and who falls out and who is not getting the care that they need. And so in 2019, Path to Health was developed. So Path to Health is those people, again, that are on emergency services Medi-Cal, and so they don't have primary care. So Path to Health began in February 2019. You can see the yellow counties there are where people can get enrolled, but people can be served or get care in all of our CMSP counties, and if that's at a contracted provider. And enrollment in that program is around 15,000 members right now. Next slide. So the board saw how well that Path to Health was doing, so they decided to do Connect to Care. So Connect to Care, again, is a primary care only, but it's a different group of folks. So these people have incomes between 139% and 300% of the federal poverty level. Again, it's primary care only, and this is a more recent program, and there's only about 800 members currently in Connect to Care. Next slide. We like to just let everybody know who our participating enrollment clinics are, and this shows you places folks go to get onto Connect to Care, Path to Health only, or both. They can enroll in either one of those programs at all of these participating clinics. Next slide. Laura, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about our grant programs.
Thanks. I would love to highlight some of our grant programs for you today. First and foremost, our local indigent care needs grant. We call it our Lichen grant. The CMSP Governing Board has allocated $50 million to be released through the Lichen grant program. To date, we've got 22 planning grants and 18 implementation grants. So a planning grant is a 12-month time period given to applicants. They can receive $50,000 or up to $75,000 if they're serving more than one CMSP county to research an idea for a project that would improve healthcare conditions within their county. And then the second track of our Lichen planning grants are implementation grants, and we've got 18 of those awarded to date. Implementation grants are grants that span a 3-year period with awards of up to $1.5 million. And they focus in on project areas like local level care management, continuity of care, enabling services, or disease management. CMSP is planning to go out to RFP to allow counties who have yet to receive an implementation grant to apply for an implementation grant sometime in the summer. So keep an eye out for the RFP up in Del Norte County. The next grant that I wanted to cover is probably going to be near and dear to Supervisor Starkey's heart because we did address some homelessness issues up in Del Norte with it. It's our CERG grant, stands for COVID-19 Emergency Response Grant. The governing board at the start of the pandemic discussed how they could help out and ended up releasing $9.6 million of emergency COVID-19 funding to 31 of 35 CMSP counties. So county agencies were awarded anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million, depending on county population size. And projects focused in on items like providing personal protective equipment and supplies, providing supportive quarantine services, funding public health or provider response individuals needed for the pandemic, and also funded public education, information, and outreach to keep the public up to date as things occurred. So specifically in Del Norte, the County of Health and Human Services Department received $100,000, and those funds were used to provide shelter and supportive quarantine services to 68 individuals who were uninsured, underinsured, or homeless. It also provided for meals and hygiene necessities for them. I'd also love to highlight our health systems development grants. So 23 organizations or county departments have been awarded under our health systems development grant program, and they've received a collective total of $6.8 million. These grant projects began May of 2019, and project activities should be wrapping up right about April of 2024. They've been awarded up to $300,000 each, and these projects are focused on expanding access to primary care, specialty care, or behavioral health services, coordinating the behavioral health system and health systems, or strengthening the overall healthcare delivery system in our CMSP counties. Next, we have our Specialty Care Access Grant. So this is a 5-year grant totaling $5.7 million that the governing board has awarded to Operation Access. Operation Access is a nonprofit operating out of the Bay Area, and what they do is they work to coordinate care between individuals who can't afford the care and providers who are willing to donate care. And so they get those two parties together and get care to people who otherwise wouldn't be able to receive it. So in the map on this slide in blue is where they were operating at the start of their grant. And by the end of their grant, they should be operating in all counties highlighted orange. You'll note that Del Norte is highlighted orange, and they anticipate starting service in Del Norte County once they initiate procedures at Providence St. Joseph in Humboldt County later this year. And lastly, I want to highlight our workforce development programs, kind of akin to what Supervisor Howard was speaking about earlier about raising pay to increase infrastructure and capacity to fight wildfires. These programs are similar, but in a healthcare capacity. These programs provide financial incentives to professionals who are willing to come work in rural counties like CMSP counties at CMSP provider locations. So they provide up to $50,000 for primary care individuals, but it comes with a 2-year service obligation working at a clinic, a CMSP clinic in a CMSP county. Under our Allied Healthcare Loan Repayment Program, 43 different healthcare professional occupations can receive up to $16,000 in exchange for working at least 1 year in a CMSP provider clinic. And we do have an award at the Del Norte County right now. We have a physician assistant who's received $50,000 in exchange for working 2 years up there in your county right now. And I will go ahead and turn it back over to Carrie.
All right, CMSP financing, next slide. So pre-Affordable Care Act, that's the big thing, the Affordable Care Act on 1/1/14. So pre-Affordable Care Act, CMSP was funded through county realignment. CMSP had their own realignment and then county participation fees. Post-Affordable Care Act, all that county realignment was now directed to the state. And that county realignment is capped at the pre-ACA CMSP amount established in 1983. CMSP had a significantly reduced realignment through 1819. And then as we were receiving that and our program got smaller, realignment was postponed starting in 1920 until our CMSP reserves are reduced to 2 years of operating costs. Also, county participation fees have been waived every year post-ACA. Next slide. CMSP Resources, next slide. Wanted to give you some resources here. CMSP staff, myself, Megan Forrest, our Director of Finance and Administration, Allison Kellen, our Program Director, and Laura Moyer is our Grants Administrator. These are good resources. Next slide. We also have 3 websites. So we have our main cmspcounties.org website. When we also have a My Path to Health and a Connect to Care website. A quick link to get to see all of our programs and eligibility requirements is careinreach.org. Next slide. Any questions?
Board members, questions?
I just wanted to, one of our audience members asked.
Blurted out, you mean?
And so it's my understanding that he asked who's considered a member, and I just, so I get it right. If a person does not qualify for Medi-Cal, they can get the CMSP. There's 700 members in all the 35 counties. Is that correct? If a member is someone that did not qualify for Medi-Cal?
If they did not qualify for Medi-Cal and they meet the eligibility criteria for CMSP, they can get onto CMSP, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and counties, county welfare departments, we recently did a training within the last few months to all of the county social services or welfare departments. Not all counties participated, but that is on our website. And we're, trying to make sure that our counties are still aware of CMSP and that folks can still get on CMSP if they do not qualify for Medi-Cal and meet the CMSP eligibility requirements.
Any other board members have questions for Carrie or Laura? Chris?
Thanks, Supervisors Hemmingson. Some of the board reports spoke specifically about CalAIM and some of the attentions coming out of that this week, but the the question that I had, would these programs apply to anybody in incarceration?
We don't cover anybody in incarceration right now. Those folks are covered in a different way. But when people come out of incarceration, they may qualify for CMSP, Path to Health, or Connected Care.
Any other questions? Any comments from the public? Okay, Carrie, Laura, thank you so much for that presentation. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Okay, I'm going to switch the agenda up a little bit. I'm going to move on to item number 19, since I think we've got a fairly large amount of people in here. We're going to receive requests from both the Yurok tribe and the Hunter Valley Community Services District. At that time, at some point, we're going to direct staff as appropriate. So,
Mr. Chairman.
yes.
Yes, I want to recuse myself for the appearance or potential conflict. I've applied for a letter of determination from the Fair Political Practice Commission in regards to a real estate transaction.
Okay.
So does that mean I leave the room now?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Neil, where are we going to start with this? Oh, Randy, how about that? It jumped right up there. I like that.
Okay, I guess we're good to go. So this is an item that's previously been before at least a couple members of the board. I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago. I think 2 and some change. A request came before the board for the installation of playground equipment on a piece of county-owned property within the Hunter Creek kind of subdivision area. I believe the origin of the request had to do with the tribe coming into the possession of some playground equipment that they were unable to install at another piece of property. And so they approached the county with the idea that Hunter Creek had been a difficult property for the county to maintain for a number of years. The infrastructure that was there was woefully inadequate in terms of recreational opportunities for the community. And so the board received the request favorably. There was some action taken by staff to put together a resolution that would actually transfer the property from the county to the tribe in order to implement the park. And sometime in the course of all of those events, the community became aware of the tribe's interest in becoming the owners of the property and developing it. And they were represented by the Hunter Valley Community Services District, which at the time was a water district. But the idea was the CSD could potentially provide more appropriate care for the park as stakeholders within the Hunter Valley area, as opposed to the tribe being a broader governmental entity within the area. So this all transpired around the time that COVID, the pandemic, was becoming a real thing globally and certainly in Delaware County, and the issue was never resolved. So in a nutshell, that's kind of where we're at. There was some action taken by the CSD, by Hunter Valley Community Services District, over the past year to become empowered by the local agency formation commission as a parks and recreation district, in addition to their water district authority. That process is concluded. And so the CSD approached county staff and requested that the item be placed back on the agenda so the issue could be fully resolved. And during that same time period, the tribe also became aware of this becoming a potential matter for board action. And so a second request was then received from the tribe. So we kind of have competing requests, I think essentially for the same purpose, which is noble and certainly beneficial to the community that it would serve. And that would be the installation of playground equipment on a piece of property that would be donated from the county to whichever entity the board feels would be more appropriate to receive it. So this was again requested to be placed on the agenda for board discussion. Whatever decision is reached, we're anticipating we would receive direction as staff to go ahead and prepare whatever the legal documents would be to go ahead and effectuate that transfer. I think that covers it. I'm certainly available if there are any questions.
Great. Thank you, Randy. Are there any questions for Randy at this point?
My only question real quick is that you said this playground equipment, will it go on regardless of who is gifted or deeded this land?
In either case, I think the idea would be there would be playground equipment installed. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm at this point going to open it up, and I don't know exactly where to start. Maybe we have presenters from each side to start with, maybe. So if you guys want to come up first, that's great.
Good morning. My name is Ryan Ray. I'm a council member for the Yurok Tribe. I represent the Redwood district. That's the Klamath area. And I've been on council now going on 7.5, 8 years. Beginning of my term, my first term, there was a big push from the community around recreation and within the community. True North organized a series of town halls. I think there was the recreation department was there. We had a couple of supervisors there. The tribe, I think Resgini was there. Of the series of town halls. And at the conclusion of all the town halls, there was I guess you could say agreement within the group to start these meetings on the side to try to figure out the best way to come up with recreation for the Klamath area. So we had meetings like once a month for a while, try to figure out how do we create recreation opportunities for the town of Klamath. And since then, we've installed, I got a good relationship with the recreation department here. We work on a lot of different things together. But since then, we've installed a park out in the Klamath Glen. We've installed a basketball court out in the Klamath Glen. We've installed a park next to the basketball court that's right there in the town site. We've installed a disc golf course. We've built a brand new gymnasium for the youth there to try to give the kids something to do. Right now, we've allocated $150,000 to the renovation and rehab of the Klamath baseball field, which hopefully this summer, by the end of the summer, we'll have a new baseball field down there. We got some. So then it led, when we were at these meetings, the center of the meeting was always at Hunter Creek Park. And we're trying to figure out what can we do. So that's when I came with the proposal to the board. Was like, well, I got an idea. Let's try this out. So right now, at that time we were working with the group that said they can install them on our parcels and stuff. But that idea has changed, because I would like to do this summer. I would like to get one installed this summer. I've talked to council, and if it goes our way, next week, depending on how it goes, next week, I put an action item in to allocate the funding to install. These things ain't cheap. We're talking like 40 grand to install a playground. And so my proposal today is to transfer to the tribe. And I want to bring all the groups together. I think it's the betterment of the community, and it's great to hear that the Hunter Creek division got a recreational branch, which I think that's good. So if it's transferred to the tribe, we can allocate the funding next week and hopefully get stuff ordered to come in, and the tribe will install it. And at the same time, if the community members are willing to, or the entities, the 3 entities here today, we can actually go into an agreement. I mean, this is where my mind's at, is we can go into an agreement for the management and if that's a possibility, and the upkeep of the park, so all 3 are working together. But at the end of the day, I want to see a park out there, and that's my proposal today, is to move forward with the action. Because it was all driven on a community-based, community-driven drove this project and it turned into what it is today, two entities looking to, but it's right now, it's giving land back, right? That's the story. That's where we're getting hung up now is because it goes against our constitution to have any, if there's land being transferred to anybody within our ancestral territory, we got to oppose it going to anybody but the tribe. That's just what it is. So that's my proposal today is stick with the original action, transfer to the tribe. We allocate the funding next week. We go in this summer and we build a new park and we move on from there with whatever those agreements look like, because it'll always be a park, just like it'll always be a park, and we can work on the details of other agreements later, but that's my proposal right now is if we move forward, we build a park this summer. Thank you.
Ryan, before you take off, I could just ask you, I apologize. I don't mean to hit you with anything. So what you're saying is if Hunter Valley ends up with this property, then you're not going to be supportive of what they do, or you're not going to help out in any way?
I don't know. I gotta take that to the council.
Okay.
But that's the proposal right now, because it'll be all discretionary dollars. That'll be kind of up to,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that-
Any other questions for Ryan while he's right here?
I just wanted, you're gonna get your chance. I just have another question. Just let us
Hang
talk.
on.
You said at the end of the day, what you want to see is a park out there. So are you gonna stay true to that? At the end of the day, no matter who has it, are we gonna collaborate together to have a park out there, or are you only going to have a park out there if it's transferred to the Yurok tribe?
If it's transferred to the tribe, I am prepared to put an action item in to build it.
Okay, but there won't be a collaboration, is what you're saying.
We have to see what that looks like, but I just want to make clear today that the Yurok tribe opposes any land being transferred in our ancestral territory. to
I guess what
anybody
I'm
but the
saying is
tribe.
you can't have both.
Yeah.
You can't say at the end of the day, we just want to see a park out there. And then, but only if it's with the Yurok tribe is what I'm just trying to get at. I'm just really trying to understand what the position of what the Yuroks are feeling.
It's hard for me because we all raise our hand and we take an oath to uphold the Constitution, right? And
Okay.
I did the same thing. And in that Constitution, it
That's your, okay.
yeah.
No, that's
So-
fair. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
Philip, did you have something you wanted to say? I know you were stood up first. Thanks.
Wanted to, we at the Yurok tribe want a strong community. And right now, we are forging partnerships. We've got partnership with Redwood National Park, California State Parks. We're partnering on a lot of different projects, and that seems to be what's working for the communities right now is partnerships. And that's what I'm here to offer today is a partnership. Bottom line is, it's going to take money to run that park. It's going to take funding. It's going to take taxes got to be paid on it if it's transferred over to anybody, correct? We have all these things. And what I want to get away from is negativity. I want to work on productivity. And I would like to ask if we could table this and work on a partnership of management together, because what we have, what we don't have, what everybody doesn't have is bodies. We're short on bodies, just like everybody else. And so to me, it looks like the path forward, we have, like Councilmember Ray said, we have an obligation to go after any property within our ancestral territory. But I think the other side of that is, it would be nice to let these fine folks manage it. And we provide the funding. I think that's the path forward. Thank you.
Thanks. Please come up.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Sally Rogers. I am a board member with the Hunter Valley Community Service District. My family and I own 7 properties out in Hunter Creek. We were the fourth family to move into Hunter Creek back in 1972, 73. I would also like to state that this, because we have been accused of this being a racial issue, that I am a Wiyot tribal member from Lolita. There are 8 Wiyot members that live in Hunter Creek. So this is nothing about that. This is very much about a community who did not know the park was going to possibly be transferred to people outside of our owners. Harold Del Ponte built the park. He donated the park to the county, and it has always been known, though we can't find the paperwork, that Harold always wanted it to return to the owners if the county did not want to take it on any longer. And so we've all talked about that. We've shuffled papers for the last 2 years trying to find where he would have said that. And unfortunately, we were not able to find that. But we were here, it's been 110 weeks since we were here the first time. We discovered this on Facebook, that this was going to be possibly deeded to the tribe. And it was a shock to all of us owners. It was disappointing that our representative, and I won't speak ill of the dead, but our supervisor didn't come to us and say, hey, this park is up for grabs. As owners, would you like to take ownership of it? And we weren't given that opportunity. There are a lot of hurt feelings, and there's a lot of emotion that has come in the last 110 weeks. As soon as we were told, we came before the board, you all kind of stalled it, and then COVID happened. And so we have played the very slow, bureaucratic red tape for that long. And
Welcome to our world.
I'm sorry.
Welcome to our world.
Yes, yes. And I don't know how you do it. Honestly, I don't. It's very frustrating at times for us. And I do want you to understand that as early as July of 2020, we had our application into LAFCO. We'd paid them $1,000 and we started the process. And because of COVID, and because I don't believe our LAFCO group was versed in how to do this, there was a lot of things that was missed. And at one point we were giving Parks and Recreation power that they then rescinded from us because they had discovered they had not done everything they were supposed to once again give us back Parks and Recreation power. So this has been ongoing. We have not dragged our feet. From the moment we knew about this, we went into action as homeowners and as the board saying, we want to show that we can handle this. And so over that amount of time, we made an agreement with the county, and we have volunteers who have now 38 times gone out and we have mowed the park with our own lawnmowers, with our own gasoline. We have not asked for money from the service district. We've not asked for money from the county to pay for the gasoline. We have rebuilt a bus stop, and I know we gave you a packet. It shows you pictures of our wonderful bus stop that we have provided for the kids, that has a light, so we don't have to worry about the kids going out there in the mornings when it's early and dark. You know, the first bus comes in at 6:50 in Hunter Creek. And so when the kids are out there, it's dark. So we have put in a nice motion light. Our kids are protected. And so we've been working hard and diligently over the last 2 years to make this happen and to prove to the county that we can handle this. Everybody from Hunter Creek, if you would raise your hand. These are homeowners and these are residents. And it warms my heart to see that somebody were able to make it today because we have a commitment to our community. I think we were done a disservice by not first having somebody come and talk to us. So it's now been 2 years. And in 2 years, we've done everything that we believe that we could do without actual ownership of the park. In 2 years, I know they're talking about management, but not once in 2 years has the Yurok tribe come out and met with us. Not once in 2 years have they come and said, hey, let's give you some gasoline to help you mow. Not once in 2 years when they saw us building this beautiful bus stop, did they come up and say, hey, let's donate some materials to you. They've never come out and said, let's have a community picnic and let's talk about how we can collaborate together. They've never come to us as a community. And we are 65 parcels. We are small. But, you know, I grew up there. I played in that park. Lori Collins, Mike Collins played in that park. My grandchildren who live in that community, they play in that park. There's history for us. And we feel that if it is given to the tribe, you're going to be stripping away some of our history. We can keep a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 365-day a year eye on what happens in that park. We will know when there are people shooting up on the swing, and we will go and we'll take care of it. And we will no longer have to worry about the dogs that are loose in the park, because we have great plans for fencing. We have already gotten donations. We have $5,000 sitting in the bank already that we were using for anything that we needed, LAFCO fees and all of that. We have another $7,500 that our homeowners are willing to donate towards the park. We have already acquired the playground equipment for free to be put in. We have a contractor that is willing to help put it in for free. We are all willing to do this, and we do understand that it is going to cost money to maintain it. But we have already spoken with our owners, and they are willing to pay an extra $35 a year in a park and recreation fee added to their yearly bill. So each homeowner pays $225 a year for water. That's it. And so they're willing to pay an extra $35 a year to be put on a yearly bill so that it can go towards the park. So it can go towards, if at any point in time we needed a lawnmower of our own, which I can't foresee happening. But we don't plan on just being a park. And I want you to understand this. I know I've kind of rambled, and I'm sorry about that. I haven't even looked at my notes. But this is more than just a playground. This is a community park. Lori and I have already talked about, if it is given to us, being able to have picnics out there like when we were children, being able to have barbecues, community barbecues out there, that we're going to put in picnic tables, and we're going to resurface the basketball hoop, and it's going to be more than just a playground. It is going to be a place for our community to come together and meet. And this 2 years, though, has been long, and it has been hard for us and emotional. It has brought our community together. It has brought our homeowners together. And so though the tribe wants to put in the playground equipment, and I hear them continue to say this is all about the children, it isn't just about the children. It is about our entire community. And our entire subdivision wants to come together and make this a really great place. I want my grandchildren to make memories there. And management is not really what we're after. We want to be able to own it, because I'd like to be able to go to the park when somebody is riding their motorcycle through it, and I stop them and say, this isn't the place that you can do this. You really need to stop. And they look at me and they say, you don't own it? And I'm a tribal member and I can do what I want. I don't want to, that's not fair. That's not fair to us who pay property taxes in that place. And so we are requesting as a service district that you deed the property to the Hunter Valley Community Service District. I believe over the last 2 years, we have proven our ability to run it. I believe we have proven we have the money to own it. And I believe that you can see the heart of the people, the owners, that this will be more than just, let's put in some playground equipment.
Thanks.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do, of course.
Okay.
Sorry. So my question is this only going to be accessible to the Hunter Valley District? So anybody living in that area, or are you going to rent out the park? How is that going to look?
No, this is a park for the entire, it's always been. We've always had friends who came from the Glen, and they came and they played in the park. We had even talked, the Chamber of Commerce had mentioned maybe wanting to do a Easter egg hunt out there next year, since the school wasn't able to this last year. So this isn't just about Hunter Creek. This is about being available to anybody who wanted to come out and use the park.
Okay, that was my question.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, thanks,
Nope.
Sally.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna open it up for public comment now. And I know there's a lot of you there, so if you'd make your comments brief, it would be greatly appreciated.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to us. My name's Lori Collins. That's my father, Monty Collins, my brother, Michael Collins, my nephew, Cameron Collins. And we are 5 generations strong in Hunter Creek. My grandfather was, and my parents and my uncle were the first people that moved to Hunter Valley subdivision. Harold Del Pawnee was our very good friend, and he developed that land for the flood victims. Basically, everything Sally said, I agree with. We as a family agree with it. We own 13 parcels in that subdivision. And we love that place. I moved away. I was born here at Seaside Hospital. I went to high school at Delnern High, okay? Moved away, had my career, and my mother died. I came back to live with my dad into the place that is in my heart, okay? Hunter Creek it's for those of us who live there, it's a special place, okay? And we live there, we drive past that park, we walk in that park, we love that park. We played in that park when we were kids. And we, as a community, should be the guardians of that park, because we already are the guardians of that park in our heart, okay? So that is so important that you understand that it's just not about playground equipment, because we have the playground equipment already. It's ready to be put in. And I'm also a ladybug, okay? We ladybugs, there's 4 of us. We mow that park, like she said, 36 times. We've been taking care of it. We mow it. We also had a community day. We took care of the fire department. And we're the only ones that are doing that. We pick up the trash, okay? There's 60 some people in there, and we're a family. We're a huge family, okay? And that's how we want to keep it, a family place, okay? And the pride that we have is huge. And we also, as a family, bought 3 more condemned properties and have improved those. My brother is building a home right now and they're improving it. We bought 2 other dilapidated mobile homes and we have improved them. We've also made, a business out of one of them. So we contribute taxes. My father, we added it up. He's paid 57 years of property taxes on those properties in Hunter Creek.
Wrap it up, please.
Yes. So we've paid taxes, and we feel that park should be, as a homeowner of 13 of the parcels, we are in favor of the water district being granted the park. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
This isn't why I came here. But this is very entertaining. My name is Sherman Jackson. I've been here off and on since '70. It bothers me to see the divisiveness here. And I see this as divisiveness. Maybe the county should just retain control and have it taken care of by either entity or both entities with support from each other. I can certainly see your guys' part, because you guys, go back a long ways with that. However, that land was stolen from the Native Americans. That was all stolen land. And I understand the constitution of the Yurok tribe, where anytime land is transferred back from a government agency, they try to get first track at it. This goes back to the 1800s. I don't know what else to say. I can see what you guys are, because I have the same issues with some of the land that our families have. But it is what it is. Anyway, I suggest the county hang on to it.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Linda Setter. It appears Hunter Creek Water District has been caring for the park for a number of years. And I do understand the Yurok tribe's argument of the ancestry land. However, it has been my observation and experience from helping people in the past who live in tribal housing, and I know there's just hear me out here, that there's an abuse of power that is unreasonable toward their own peoples. With that thought in mind, if this land was given to the tribe, someone's child might do something to some other child, and then they would be told they couldn't come to the park anymore. This is what they do down there. If the Hunter Creek Water District was given the park land, I feel that would be a more neutral choice, and there would be no power struggle, but enjoyment for all, regardless of who lives there or who comes there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I am Wanda Kirkpatrick. I have lived in Hunter Creek subdivision for a lot of years. Well, I have 4 properties out there myself. When the tribe talks about giving, or so children are benefiting from this property or from this park, that's our whole driving force also, is we want community, the whole community and others, like Sally Rogers said, to be able to come out and enjoy this park. I'm one of the muralists in town, okay? And when we painted the bus stop, we got a lot of people from the subdivision to come out and help. Well, if we were able to get this, my plan is also to take children from the neighborhood as a fence goes up, put up the 8x4x8 panels and have them come out and paint them with their artwork on the fence. So, and it's just not about, we want it just for us. We want to do stuff for the children, for the community. We want to have barbecues. We want to get the community to know each other. And that's our whole force, and we have spent a lot of time and a lot of money taking care of it, and I know that we can do it, so I'm asking that you give it to the Hunter Valley subdivision to take care of and to maintain. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? If there's going to be any other public comment, if you wouldn't mind forming a line, maybe over here. Go ahead, come on up.
I'll keep it really brief. My name is Ashley. My mom is Sally. I personally do not live in Hunter Creek at this time. I'm here in representation. My sister could not be here. She has 4 kids under the age of 10. And while that would have been fun for everybody to see, it would have been a little chaotic. I actually wanted to address what the tribe had come up here and said. We were never approached about this situation in the months that he said that they were discussing what to do and he came up with this proposal. I often wonder why the Hunter Creek owners weren't brought to the attention of this, and maybe they could have added into ideas and things about the park. As far as tabling this for another time, this has been in the making for, what did you say, 110 weeks? There has been more than enough time for the Hunter Creek people and the owners to be addressed and to come up with a different kind of solution, but they weren't interested in that until this very moment. So there's been more than enough time for them to come up and kind of talk with us, and we can come up with a peaceful solution. But what it comes down to is this is for the community, it's for the kids, and it's for everybody in Klamath, and even from out of the area. Like I said, I don't live in Hunter Creek, and I plan to bring my child down there. Our cousins come, and we've been using that park for generations, and that's the plan for it, is for it to be open for the community and not just for one singular part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Coscarelli. I live in the Hunter Creek subdivision. And I would just like to tell you that these are probably some of the finest people I've ever lived around. The ladybugs not only take care of the park, but the disabled residents that are in the neighborhood. They mow their lawns, they take care of their properties, they put meals together and deliver them to the people that can't get out to go shopping. I moved here from Wairika. Before that, I was in Southern California. And I have to tell you, I've never lived in a neighborhood before where the people are so helpful towards one another and take such an interest in their community.
Thank you.
Like I say, good morning. Good
morning.
morning, Board of Supervisors. Good morning, all y'all. I think my name is Bob Rogers. I'm on the water board down in Klamath, and I'm just here as a representative, as a homeowner in Hunter Creek, taxpayer in Hunter Creek. And I think the biggest thing I want to make sure of that this is not a racial issue, and we just pray that any media outlet would not present this as that, because hopefully we've lived long enough now and figure out that there's only one race, and that's the human one. And we're just all marching our way to the grave, trying to do the best that we can. So I just want to take care of that. We have a great situation here in Klamath where we do life together. We've learned how to get over our petty differences and come alongside one another, whether they be indigenous or not. And I just want the York tribe and of course, Ryan Ray, Phillip Williams. Phillip and I are close friends. Ryan and I are friendly towards each other. We've learned how to do life together. So we have a delicate situation down there. Of course, Klamath does have her problems, right? Just like any other small town. But the good that happens in Klamath far outweighs the bad. Only the good stuff never gets any press. So I just want to be really, really clear on that. We love the tribe. Some of our closest friends are tribal members. Half of our church is York tribal members. And so we have a really great balance. We got a great thing going on there. The other issue is that when this happened, you have to understand we were in shock to find this out. To find this out through a kind of a backdoor avenue. You know, my wife's looking on Facebook one day and it's 3 o'clock and, you know, it's God love him, Supervisor Berkowitz, you know, and I get it. You know, we're human. We can error sometimes, we can blunder. But the way that this was done just all seems so backwards. I'm sure there's other adjectives I could use, but it was just done so kind of sneaky. And the homeowners of Hunter Creek, look, there's generations, there's decades of people here. People took off work today. People left the comforts of their home, even though they're older and not getting around so well. They drove up here to be here to show the support for this park, that there's an emotional investment here. There's financial investment here. There's time spent here. You know, even before the tribe petitioned Supervisor Berkowitz to take over this land, I've gone out there and mowed when the county didn't show up for a few weeks. And I mowed with a push mower when the grass was 4 foot tall. You know, and other people have done it. You know, we've picked up people's trash that were left behind. We've scooped up the dog poop that was left behind. We've returned the clothing and the shoes and the toys and the bikes to the kids that have come and played and left them behind.
You need to wrap it up. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying. I am really trying. But what we've seen is that we've seen kind of setback after setback after setback. Some of it was human error, some of it was the COVID thing. But the thing I really want you all to see and you all to see is that with every blunder and every setback, we have to believe that what we've shown is a willingness to take care of that park. And not just that we're able to, but because we want to.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else, any other public comment? Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the board then. Anybody want to come up with anything or ask any questions of anyone? I can certainly tell you how I think this all came about, and I guess brought it to our attention. And the maintenance that the county had been providing to the Hunter Creek Park was less than sufficient. The tribe had approached us. We didn't get approached by the water district at that time. The tribe had approached us, says, hey, we got this equipment. We'd like to put it in the park. We'd like to put it down in Hunter Creek. And we're thinking, oh, that's pretty good. And not even thinking, that we needed to look in that area of the people surrounding the park, I guess. And so some of the fault is, or maybe all of the fault is on us for not doing that. And then once it was realized that, is the county interested in giving this park up? Well, we hadn't been taking very good care of it, and somebody wanted to come in and take care of it. We're certainly willing to pass that on. And we weren't trying to be backdoor or underhanded or anything. We were just looking to find solutions to things that we couldn't provide. That's just my take on it. Now, you can all think that there was maybe some underhanded thing going on, but in my mind, there was none. And the tribe had come to us with a proposal. So we were, pleasantly surprised that they were. And then as we found out that the water district was interested in taking that over, then that puts a whole different light on it. And now we see the passion, and we see the community surrounding the park wants to take care of it. So that puts a whole different light on it, the way that I see it. I mean, everybody's got claim here, and it does appear to be just a little divisive. And as Phillip said, well, that's not the direction we want to go. We want to see everybody working together. And I don't know exactly how we do that, because I think whatever decision we make is going to seem like it's a little divisive. But those are just my thoughts, just a little history from the time that I've been here and what I've seen. Our interest here at the board was to make that a better facility for the community. And when that proposal was brought up, so I don't want you to think that we went out and looking for someone to take care of it. It came to us, and that's what we were looking at. And now this has all been brought to light. Now we've got the chance to discuss it, and here we are. Anybody else? Supervisor Starkey, you got anything to add?
He knows I do. So, I mean, this to me is heartwarming, honestly, is that, we've got this piece of this parcel that could bring people together. And in this day and age in our lives, right, we don't get to see that too often. We don't get to see a community like this that often. Klamath is comprised of a community, and it's not the Yurok community. It's not the Hunter Valley community. It's a community. So what can we do to bring that community together? How can we start making some of those changes that Mr. Phillips brought forward? Is that we all want to collaborate together. And I think this is the opportunity to do that. I think that should the board vote to award this to the Hunter Valley, I am hopeful that the tribe is going to say, okay, the decision's been made. Now, how can we partner? And I really hope to see that. Klamath, you guys are a unique place, and you've endured a lot. Last Chance Grade alone showed me how much you are resilient. You yelled at me a lot, but in the end, you figured out a way as a community on how to make that work. And so I am really hopeful that you will figure out a way to make this work, regardless of the way it goes. And I'm hoping that this will be the first step to show that you really are willing to collaborate regardless of the outcome.
Supervisor Short, anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say, as looking into volunteer services around our community, it's truly remarkable to see what the people of Hunter Valley have come together and done to maintain the park, build the shelter, and just come together as a group. The report says, 97% of the residents in the Hunter Valley are in favor of keeping up this park. They've all agreed to spend the extra money. It really shows a lot of their dedication to this park and this idea of having this place where, families and community can come together. I certainly see the position of the tribe and could very much appreciate what they're trying to accomplish. I had a friend of mine contact me. She grew up in the Hunter Valley and voicing her concerns, hoping that we would award this piece of land to the Hunter Valley Community Services District. And she talked about Harold Del Ponte, giving that piece of land up and that his desire, I guess her grandfather was good friends with Mr. Del Ponte, and he's just kind of makes sense that if the county didn't have ownership of that park anymore, that it seems like it just makes sense that it would go back to the community of Hunter Valley. And with that, I guess I'll make the motion that we direct staff as appropriate for the donation of that county-owned parcel to the Hunter Valley Community Services District.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Supervisor Howard, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, since we do have a motion, a second on the table, I just want to reflect back briefly on Mr. Williams' comments. They do mean a lot because times aren't great. There's a reason the park got to the condition it was in, right? So we're 80% public land around here, and your message is clearly heard. A partnership with whoever is able to come forward is clearly needed, tribal or otherwise nonprofit. But those partnerships and collaboration are what make us tick in Del Norte County when there's limited income in the tax base to have the maintenance that's direly needed in this situation. I did want to, and I hesitate to go here, but I wanted to speak to a point and a step we took a couple of years ago with Councilman Ray. We had the opportunity to do this with a ball field in Klamath. And I don't think I'm encouraged by what I see there today. We've had years to address the situation, to see an outlay and an example that showed the care and maintenance that we anticipated when this board took action, and really wanted to see the Yurok tribe do the uptake and maintenance and bring, as you envisioned, children back to that ball field. We haven't seen it yet today. I'm concerned about that, but as a county, there's nothing we could do about it anymore. You're a sovereign nation. We could encourage you. We could help you. We could try to figure out solutions together to have your vision. And I was encouraged today to hear the commitment of $40,000 and some resources after years to get that ball field up and running. 150,000. So that's a step in the right direction, but it's years later after the encroachment of some significant homeless camps on the northern edge of that property that have created some issues, and now that have to be cleaned up. I don't know where we go forward with this relationship, but we do have to remember Mr. Williams' vision here, and I certainly want to uphold that. But it's difficult seeing where we've taken steps and with faith in the vision of the Yurok Tribal Council to get there and haven't seen it to date. And so just wanted to express those feelings.
Yep, I appreciate that. And I'm, I'm really impressed with the Hunter Valley proposal. I mean, we got a full proposal with how they're going to pay for it, what they're going to do, what they're going to put in, and the continuing care and maintenance of it. So I have to agree, and I agree with what I guess I agree with what everything's been said here. And with that, Kylie, would you please poll the vote?
Supervisor Howard,
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey,
Yes.
Supervisor Short,
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And with that, With that, we are going to move back to the consent agenda.
Get together, yeah.
Or Randy.
Actually, Randy is our better bet.
It'll take a minute.
Huh? Oh, you didn't take your phone.
It did.
Have a good day.
You could watch the meeting on your phone, you know. So.
So I shouldn't have taken my phone.
No, you could have watched the, you could have watched the meeting on your phone. You can live stream. Oh. Okay, we're going to move back to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve, but I'd like to pull item 13, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Second, with the polling of 13.
Okay.
Chair, can I just get a clarification? Supervisor Howard, are you pulling it for a separate vote or just discussion?
Discussion.
Thank you.
Okay.
13.
Okay. Does anybody else want to pull anything else for discussion? Okay, so let's go ahead and take up item number 13 for discussion at this time. Supervisor Howard.
Mr. Chairman, this is a resolution designating the jail to provide medically approved medications to defendants found to be mentally incompetent pursuant to Penal Code 1369. Joel, thank you. Joel, what exactly does this mean? Because do we not already have this ability? What are we saying here?
When somebody is incompetent to stand trial, they go to state mental hospital, and it takes months, sometimes a year, to actually transfer them there because of how impacted those hospitals are. In an emergency, we can give somebody involuntary medication in the jail while they're waiting transport. This will make it very clear that we can do that even when it's not an emergency. The court will order or authorize involuntary medication. The way some interpret that now is that the state hospital can administer, but not the jail. This will clear up any ambiguity that the jail can't administer medication involuntarily with that court order. This should help people who are sitting around in jail without medication, without services. And you know, a lot of people respond very well. You think about a population that, you know, is having law enforcement contacts because they're unhoused, they're mentally ill, and a lot of times have substance use disorders. Some time in jail and some medication can do a lot of good for them, and they might not even need to go to state hospital. So this will get the ball rolling and help plug a gap in the kind of continuum of services that we can provide people.
Thank you, Joel. I appreciate that explanation, especially in light of some of the recent events here in Delaware County, because how this is implemented really does impact those that do come into our jail and into the possession of our sheriff's department and have to find treatment in some way, shape, or form while they're awaiting that transport to Napa. Do you know the population currently of those that might be ISP?
I don't know the exact number. I think it's about a dozen
who are sitting in jail waiting for transport. And meaning those people basically are incompetent to stand trial. Yeah, it means they don't understand the criminal procedure well enough to participate and communicate with their lawyer. So they don't really understand what's happening to them. And is our jail staff currently equipped to deal with individuals like this? The jail is not designed to be a mental institution. When, you know, realignment happened, really before that, but when that happened, a lot of these types of very mentally ill people and reoffenders and things started ending up in jail for longer periods of time. State hospitals became more impacted.
So while, we do have a contract for medical services and county mental health provides services, and we rely heavily on a telepsychiatrist, the jail is not a mental hospital, and we are not equipped to plug the hole that the state has kind of created here. And the state is obligated to take these people within 90 days, and they're not doing it. So, we're doing the best we can, and this will help. But in a perfect world, these people would be in mental hospitals, not county jails.
I think Supervisor Starkey brought this up in her board report. There's, I believe she said 1,428 or so individuals waiting for this type of service by the state of California. Am I correct, Supervisor?
Yeah, that's what was reported at the last meeting or the CSAC legislative meeting.
Yeah. So I appreciate your time and attention to this. It's obviously going to be extremely important piece for us to consider today for a vote. Thank you, Chairman Hemmingson, for that.
Anybody got anything else on this? So we're going to include that in the motion. So all items are included. Is there any public comment?
So if we have 12 mentally ill inmates in our county jail and the officers can't do their job because these guys are mentally ill and required to have cell extractions to get the inmate out, put him in a holding cell so that they can disinfect the cell, which obviously wasn't done here. Think what it's going to be when an inmate says, well, I'm not going to take that medication. So they're going to have to form a cell extraction team, if my memory serves me right. They're going to have to take that inmate out of the cell and then force the medication on him. So why aren't these guys being kept safekeeping at Pelican Bay? This is a real mess.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good morning again. Thank you. Chairman, Board of Supervisors, County Clerk, Brandon Bieber, Smith River resident. Here today expressing my continued disappointment with your leadership and request you reverse course and begin helping our community. I don't necessarily care to be here, but I feel it's important for people to hear my perspective and what I think of the decisions and some of their implications they're having. I say it's failed because I'm raised in a family vastly different from 10 years ago or when I grew up. I'm trying to raise my family in a community that I don't recognize.
Are you addressing something on the consent?
Yes, I am.
Which item are you?
I'm requesting that the Board of Supervisors vote or do not approve consent items number 5, number 6, number 7, and number 13. Number 13 too, yes. May I continue?
That's your time. I was just asking the question, which you were, I didn't
I
understand.
apologize for blurting out earlier. I just had a question. Sorry about that. Let's see, where was I? How your voting record illustrates that you approve consent items nearly 100% of the time. Can you remember when the last time and a consent item was not approved? Hundreds. Chairman Howard, you've probably seen thousands, maybe 1,000, without one not being approved. You know, I don't care what, you can have the best employees, be the best bosses. That wish box, every once in a while, all those wishes, some of them don't work out very good. Not all ideas are good ideas. For you to just rubber stamp all these consent items, meeting after meeting, is not a sign of democracy. These decisions have long-lasting implications. Salaries, benefits, retirement. You know, I came here a few months ago because I was concerned when you threatened to throw me in jail for not wearing a mask. You know, defund DHHS. Have any of you looked into that department? And my claim to defund them? It also has fire steps. That was good. My previous comment. I'll hold on to this for next week or 2 weeks. Any of you look into DHHS? 10 years ago, your budget.
You need to wrap it up, Brian.
You're not going to censor me again, Chairman.
Brandon, your time has run out. Would you please wrap it up? I'm giving you a few
Do
more
you read
seconds.
your
I'm
agenda?
giving you a few more seconds. Would
You will
please
not
wrap-
censor me again. Do you read your agenda? Okay. And 10
Not
years ago.
question and answer. This is
10
comment
years ago, I
period.
don't know if you can see this.
Please make your comments.
You will not censor me, sir. 10 years ago, the county, do you know how many employees you guys have now? No. 484. See, that was on the budget, so it's got to be another dozen probably from the last few months. 10 years ago, 433 employees. I'm sorry, today there's 484. 10 years ago, there were 146 DHHS employees. Today, there's another 195.
Chair, can I just, Brandon, would you like to maybe have a meeting with me at some point? Because you only get 3 minutes here. At some point, you and I can kind of talk about it.
Yes.
And so that you have more time to go over it. Because you're limited on your time and I'd love to sit
You'd
down
read
with
the
you.
agenda, and I'd
Yeah.
like some clarification on the instructions on your agenda. It says on your agenda, please submit comments. What does submit mean? I submitted comments for public hearing 2 weeks ago and they were censored.
No, they were not censored.
Where are the
We
directions?
received them all.
We got.
The
we all-
board received all
They were
your
not
comments.
considered for voting.
They never are. There's nothing you're saying right now that
Why
we're going to
why
consider.
should I submit a public comment then, if you're not going to consider it?
We're not going to consider anything right
Where are
now,
the
what you're saying.
instructions on the?
And I don't know what,
agenda?
you're pushing the envelope, Brandon. I'm giving you, I've
Yes, I
allowed
am,
you.
sir.
We've
Are
never,
we a
we have
country of
never-
laws?
we've never threatened to arrest you before, ever.
You're not going to arrest me.
I know, and you know that, but you keep saying that we have. We've threatened to arrest you. and We have never.
Coerced.
We have never.
Coerced me, intimidated me. You're right.
Brandon,
I
I
know
just
I'm
want to reiterate my offer. Okay, so at some point.
We've
can
had
we-
discussion and that.
We'll sit down,
conversation-
but this is just, it's not going to go well and, or it's not going to go anywhere right now. You only get the certain amount of time.
I'd like
I'd
just
love
like
to sit down
I'd
with
just like
you.
to finish expressing some,
We're going to take a recess.
okay, I'll wait.
Okay, we're going to bring the meeting back to order. And at this time, I'm going to ask for any other public comment. Is there any other public comment on the consent agenda items? You've already spoken on consent. Okay, 10-4, do you have this, you have items you want to discuss? Okay, well, you want to talk on the consent agenda items? Please come forward and talk on the agenda items, please. Please come forward and speak on the agenda, on the consent agenda items, please. We have a microphone right there. You can pick up this microphone right here on the.
Hello? Okay, so agenda number 9. Hire a new deputy director of community development. Especially, I find it laughable, especially to the tune of $134,181. Where's all this money coming from? You people are spending Measure R like there's no tomorrow. From 2018 to 2020, Heidi Kungston received a total of $51,000 in pay increases. Her wages are now $201,000 per year. I find it laughable that she informed you board members just 2 weeks ago that it was costly to keep the general plan updated. Maybe if you were not so generous in giving $51,000 pay raises, we would be able to afford to have the general plan updated. The only thing costly is Ms. Kungstel, and now you want to bring another person to work for $134,181, and you base this reasoning upon other counties of similar size pay that wage. Well, here's a news flash for you. There are numerous jobs available throughout the whole state. People can pick and choose where they want to live. With a show of hands, how many of you buy your Sunday go meeting clothes at Walmart? Or where do you buy a nice pair of leather shoes? Oh, I see. We have to leave the area because why? Because none of you, not one, have discussed any tax incentives for businesses to come here. So you honestly believe someone will want to come here because of the pay? That's laughable. When are you going to quit grinding Del Norte County into the ground and start making a difference here? Economic blight, tore up roads, inflationary cost of living, outrageous rent, lack of significant infrastructure, along with a $54 million pension liability that is not funded. And you want to add more. Who is counting the dollars that make you think you're spending within the budget? Measure R money should not be included as part of that budget, and neither should this newly created position. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, Kylie, would you please poll a vote?
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Supervisor Short?
Yes.
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Yep.
Brandon, not now, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 17, which is to appoint Renell Brown. Excuse me, Brandon, could you please sit down? Nicely. Can you please sit down? Please, will you please sit? Will you please sit down? Please.
I'd like to please finish my comments.
Not going there.
I've asked for instruction as per your agenda on how to submit public comment.
If you needed instructions, you could have talked to the clerk, you could have talked to the CAO, which he's requested to have meetings with you over and over. Over and over. I saw your emails. Would you please sit down so that we can
Where is
conduct
the
business?
instruction? Your agenda says you have instructions on the website. I'm trying to follow the instructions. Are you? just-
You're not following anything right now.
Where
You
are the
please need,
instructions?
you need to please sit down.
Where are the instructions?
Please sit down.
I want to have my voice heard.
It's been.
It's been
It's
heard.
been heard. And you can ask us anytime outside of the meeting.
Can I finish this comment? Hey, you're economizing the homeless problem. You're making it worse. What does DHHS do? Are they making things better?
It's not question and answer. It is comment period. Make a comment.
They reach
Make a comment or please sit down. Make a comment or please sit down. Make a comment or please sit down. You are asking a question. You continually ask questions. Make a comment or please sit. Thank you. Please sit down.
You are economizing the problem.
Please sit down. We heard all that. We heard it. We heard it all. You've already said this. You can't just keep going over it. Just please sit down. Please sit down. Please sit down.
They make up over 40% of the workforce. You can make a decision.
Is that mic still on?
Allocate those funds in places that need them, like our sheriff department and our jail. Allocate those funds responsibly.
Please sit down.
You are economizing the
Thank
problem
you.
and making it worse.
Item number 17.
Your time here is not been successful.
Okay, item number 17.
Move to appoint Ronald Brown as Director of Health and Human Services.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any public comment on item number 17?
Just for clarification, Chair, do you want him to do the second part of that as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. And approve accrual rates equal to.
Chair, really quick, did you guys take a vote on the consent agenda?
On consent, we did.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure we missed that.
Where was I? And approve accrual rates equal to 11 to 15 years of service tier pursuant to the appointed department head resolution.
As amended.
And authorize the chair to sign the attached. That's the part number 2.
Oh, the number 2. Next page, sorry. And authorize the chair to sign the attached letter officially notifying California CDPH for appointment.
Okay.
Thank you.
And a second.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong.
I don't know. So item number 17, there's been a motion and a second to approve. I've asked for public comment. And no public comment. Kylie, would you please poll the vote?
Supervisor Maston,
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey,
Yes.
Supervisor Howard,
Yes.
Supervisor Short,
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Item number 18, which we don't get these very often. We're going to deny the requested road closure
That's for sure.
of Indian Road. Rosanna?
Mr. Chairman, I have some questions.
Well, let
Pull it up.
Rosanna maybe answer them before we get started. Rosanna, what do you want to?
Hello. The Tualawadeni Nation recently submitted a request to close the Indian Road as well as Mouth of Smith River Road and Prince Island. I think they said court, but I think they meant road, to do a March for Our Sisters. And the issue here is not the march at all. We have, from the staff perspective, there's no concern with that. That's the right for First Amendment expression. Absolutely can occur. The issue is the request for the road closure. And what they're requesting is the county to sanction the event by authorizing the closure of the road. And so at that point, we're looking at assemblage. And we haven't received a use permit for assemblage, which would include a public hearing process, notification to adjacent property owners, and everything that would go with an event. We also don't know the number of people participating. We have not, I've tried to reach out to the tribe. The only person who I've been able to communicate with is someone who no longer works with the tribe. And the applicant, we've played phone tag, but I haven't got any questions answered. So at this point, the recommendation of staff, and we have consulted with county council, is to deny the request for road closure.
Thank you.
So just to
Susan?
be clear, oh, sorry.
Susan, you have some questions?
So you answered part of it because the letter came in on 8:30. So I'm wondering why we didn't hear this at the last meeting. I just want to be sure that they had ample time to respond. And then I was wondering, the Yurok tribe is doing a similar event, but they had modified their plans. So there was an exception, and that could have been utilized with Smith River, and I wasn't sure what that was.
So someone from the Yurok tribe reached out to me wanting to know if they could close, the original plan was to close Klamath Boulevard and I don't recall whatever the road is that goes.
169.
No one, this was actually only in the town site, so is it Salmon Boulevard maybe down there?
Yeah.
And so they wanted to close the road. And I said, well, you would need a use permit for assemblage and you would need to come to the board and get a road closure. And there wasn't enough time to do that, but also in talking with them, we were able to conclude that they could reasonably walk on the shoulders of the road or the sidewalks and not need to impact traffic. And also typically the purpose of a march is visibility. And so if you close a road, the visibility is the road closure, not the march. So in doing so, they agreed that they would just stay on the sidewalk and exercise their First Amendment rights. They later reached out to me and had changed their plans and decided to march to the middle of the Klamath River Bridge, where they wanted to drop flowers in the water and do a bit of a ceremony. And so, there's absolutely no issue with that because they're not requesting to close the road or any of that sort of thing. So that was the modification that the Yurok tribe made to their plans.
So we could approve it if they modify their plan to use the side.
No, this is a road closure.
Well,
We wouldn't
except,
close the road if they're gonna use the side. They would be on the.
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we could approve it if they modify it to use, not close the road, but
There's
use
no
the
reason,
same.
it's no reason to come here if they're not gonna close the road. This is only to deny closing the road. They can still use the sides of the road.
Okay.
Absolutely. Anybody can march and
So
anybody
we-
can do that. That's the rights.
So we can just convey that to them so that they're within the law.
Thank you. Public comment?
Come on now. This isn't gonna be a 1,000,000-man march or a 10,000-person march. And that road has barely any traffic on it. And, you've all Colonel Commandant, Heil Hitler. We're not gonna close the road because you didn't get your permit fast enough. It takes 5 minutes to write a permit. What is going on? Come on, guys.
Thank you.
Allow them to do their march.
Any other public comment? Get a motion?
I'll motion to deny the request for the road closure on Indian Road.
Thank you.
Second that motion.
A motion and a second. Kylie, would you please pull the vote?
Supervisor Short,
I lost my button.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, mine almost fell off too.
Already, Liz is already saying I don't talk loud enough, so, yes.
Supervisor Maston,
I'm really conflicted here because I just think it's so absurd. I vote no, but
Supervisor Howard,
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey,
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson.
Yes. Okay, moving on, item number 20, discuss and give possible direction to staff to provide Zoom virtual access to Del Norte Local Fish and Game Commission meetings and authorize the use of county general fund to cover costs as requested by myself. This is an item that was brought up to me a while ago, that we establish the local Fish and Game Commission and we appoint members to it, but we allow no funding to go along with that. And so during the COVID, of course, was really hard for them to conduct their meetings without some sort of virtual presence. They have no budget to allow that. And now that we're kind of in that whole mode of virtual stuff and being able to do that, I just think we ought to at least give them staff to help with the chambers and the meetings and this virtual process and whatever we can do to help them out. So there's not much in the way of funds. I think when I talked to IT, they said it was like $40 an hour or something like that. So they have one meeting a month, I think. So I don't think we're talking about breaking the bank or anything. And I think it's just something that we should provide, at least provide them the ability to conduct their business the way it should be conducted.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I was just going to add, because I did get a comment from someone for the last meeting, that if we could include the address, because not everyone knows what we're talking about when we say the Flynn Building, which is true. And so when we notice for meetings that we put the address included, because it was specific for the last meeting for this particular board. So just.
Chair, can I just clarify, is this for notice for the fish and game agendas? Or are you talking about like today's meeting?
The meeting location. No, for this particular, for the fish and game meeting, it was at the Flynn, I guess the last one was here. Did they hold their meetings here?
Yeah.
They do, but they have their own clerk. We don't provide agendas or do anything
It's
like
not
that. The
noticed
staff,
on any
county
of our
staff does
sites.
not.
So if you could just notify them of that, or I can call them.
I don't mind
I'll
notifying
call
her.
them.
I just wanted to clarify that county staff doesn't put
Yeah.
together the fish and game agendas. That's all I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I just thought maybe we had a calendar that posted.
I just have a question for county council. Are they obligated under AB 361 by any means, or is this something that we can authorize?
So that's what I was wondering.
I think it's something we can authorize. I mean, I don't know what like the budget implications are of it, but if they're a separate entity, and I've never really thought deeply about what they are, or what they do, or whether they're a Brown Act body, any of that stuff, but I assume that they're following all Brown Act laws, and it's not really our deal or our problem.
Go ahead, Chris.
They're definitely not a separate entity. I remember when this board approved him in 1994, I was one of the first board members approved to the commission. It's an advisory committee of the Delaware County Board of Supervisors.
To the board.
So,
Okay. Well, then they're definitely a Brown Act body.
Yes.
yes, they certainly are a Brown Act body. And with that, I would make the motion to authorize the use of general funds to cover the cost.
I'll second that.
The motion and the second. Public comment on this item? Seeing no public comment, then we'll poll the vote. Kylie?
Supervisor Starkey,
Yes.
Supervisor Maston,
Yes.
Supervisor Short,
Yes.
Supervisor Howard,
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson.
Yes. Okay, item number 21, discuss and consider the approval of the addition of a public safety law enforcement committee to the current established list of county technical advisory committees as requested by Supervisor Maston, and if approved, appoint 2 board members to the committee.
Just from a comment made earlier, this is a technical committee, so it would be for the purpose of bringing people together to look for solutions and have focus upon the issues that we face. And I'd ask for consideration to be one of the 2 appointed.
Okay, and I guess I'm a little bit confused. We have a numerous committees that any of these issues may, whether it's safe and healthy families or future facilities, or so I don't know what the goal is here. If it's a goal committee, and I'm assuming it's a goal committee. I don't know what the technical advisory committee is. Is that what they're named? I thought these were goal committees.
Yeah, it's just a similar setup as the regular committees we have already, future facilities, health.
Yeah,
Like you said,
those
safe,
are all
healthy families.
goal committees.
I was
Yeah,
kind of curious what your vision was on that too. Just
Yeah,
what would be some of your goals for the committee?
My goal would be for us to have a focus that's placed on public safety and law enforcement, that we could pull together, wrap around service entities together with, so probation, mental health, law enforcement, that we would just all sit there together and figure out solutions to the issues that we're facing, because there are some critical issues that we face And if there isn't a proper focus on it, we never seem to move forward. Because some of these issues have been going on for a long time. And I just think if we devote this specifically for, then we will be able to stay on track of things and find solutions together with limited resources and dollars that are available. So
Yeah, well, and I don't, I guess that
it's what I'm hearing from those entities that isn't happening, that should happen in order for us to get things accomplished. And that's my solution to how we can ensure that there's open communication and that we work together to create solutions.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, I'm just curious. First, I have a question. What entities are we talking law enforcement right now? Probation? I mean, what entities
We're
are?
talking, so I thought I said, but it would be for the sheriff's department,
Okay.
for probation, for mental health,
Mhm.
for, can you help me out? Thinking, yeah, administration.
District attorney, I mean, you can go on and on and on. I
Yeah,
mean,
district attorney, because it's all together. And I mean, just the issues that I've seen since I've come on board, I think that there are solutions if we're all sitting down together, talking together for addressing things like how we fix problems in the interim until we have a new facility, or we have enough officers, or we have, what's the specific budget items we need to help with, and where are those budgets to help with fixing things in the interim, and then also looking as we move forward.
Yeah, and I can appreciate the thoughts behind that, Supervisor Madston. I just like to say, at least it's been my experience over the last 8 years, those problems are really well identified right now. Not only are they really well identified, it really comes down to a decision on where to spend limited resources. And if there's no limited resources to spend, and you have constituents or agencies coming to you and saying, we need this to do our job of public service, then where are those funds going to come from? So again,
And that's part of meeting together, because each of them have budgets and funding. And so coming together, we can figure out how do we pull those resources that are separated out into those departments to address an issue together.
Sure. And I'd like to think that we've done that here for quite some period of time. And again, I understand where you're going with this. The problem has been very well articulated over a decade plus that I've been around, is that there's been no resources to put state mandates in place, and then to complicate matters, especially in terms of public safety, when you have various propositions and assembly bills that come down the pipe and saddle the county that already has strapped limited resources with the issue, then it really comes down to a funding issue. And where's that money going to come from? This community with Measure S, Measure R made a very clear statement on how they wanted to address public safety and move those items forward. How we now allocate those funds has been very well described. It's been put in a piggy bank that can only be spent where the community has seen those areas of tension needed. And we have a committee in place to discuss that very thing so it's transparent to the voters. So I don't want to duplicate efforts, and I don't want to duplicate efforts for the very reason that has been mentioned up here today, which is creating more bureaucracy than's needed to move a problem forward. And when the problem is around lack of money in our county, then we know already how those funds should be allocated, and we've done so with previous boards. And I think that's an effective process as we discuss up here as a board.
If I could interject too, Supervisor Starkey is on the behavioral health board, I'm the alternate and got to sit in her place recently. So that is a place where mental health and law enforcement comes together. I mean, as far as probation, we know that Lonnie has a direct line of communications with each one of us as well. Pretty open line there. I don't know, if, obviously I'm not on all the other committees or boards. But I don't know if would be any other gaps that you would see needs to be filled there as well.
I appreciate all of your thoughts, but here's my position that sometimes, people find solutions and budget may not be the only issue. And so I guess I could just do a roundtable lunch and hope that they come and we look for solutions and talk about these same issues, and I don't need a standing committee to do that. But I just thought it would be helpful if we focused our energies at a time when it's needed. And that's my issue. And if the board doesn't think that's necessary, then I can do it on my own.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback a little bit on what Supervisor Short said, is that, and just having worked with Chief Raymond as an employee of his for a brief period of time, he does a fabulous job bringing people together for that. I've been in meetings where the district attorney has been there, the jail has been there, the sheriff, Crescent City PD. So there are those opportunities for those things to get discussed. And I would hope that if Chief Raymond and whoever our new sheriff is going to be, and whoever our new director of behavioral health, we just appointed her. So if they all wanted to get together and then say to us, hey, we want to sit down and we want to have this discussion because we don't feel that we're working together, I would more than happy do that. But right now I feel as if those discussions are happening and occurring. And like Supervisor Short said, the local behavioral health board is a avenue in which this occurs as well.
Okay, so Supervisor Maston made a motion. Is there a second? Okay, seeing no second, then we're going to drop that and move on. We got budget transfers.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve budget transfer 04-04 in the amount of $6,500 within the Veteran Services budget, and also 04-08 in the amount of $20,000 within the general fund contingency for county council professional services.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any public comment on these two budget transfers? Seeing no public comment, then we're going to poll the vote. Kylie?
Supervisor Maston?
Yes.
Supervisor Starkey?
Yes.
Supervisor Howard?
Yes.
Supervisor Short?
Yes.
Chair Hemmingson?
Yes. Okay, legislative and budget issues. Heidi, are we still wanting this hearing?
No,
Yeah.
no, thank you. We do not want to request the hearing. I
But
think
we are going to write a letter.
absolutely,
Okay.
we would return at the next meeting with a letter, and the members of the public who are interested in this item are aware of the fact that the board will be discussing it next Tuesday. I believe that there was one person who was here, but I don't think he could hang on long enough, so he left.
Yeah, I
But
don't blame him.
yeah, I think what we found is that there's going to be the same value in submitting a written comment as there would be in the public hearing. So yeah, so there's no longer a request on our part to make that request.
No, didn't need a second. No action. Okay, so with that, we are,
Chair, can I just get clarification? So we're just not taking any action on this item is what we're doing?
not taking any action on that item. No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, did we get everything else, Kylie?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Next meeting.